just waiting for you. Do-do, do-do, do-do.
I've been wearing Sperry boat shoes since I was a kid, and my dad did too. Whenever we would fish, my pops was always in his Sperry's, and so was I. They have the best boat shoes on the planet. There's really no competition. So use our exclusive code BFC20 to shop now and get 20% off your purchase of $99 or more. Offer is valid till September 1st. Again, that code is BFC20. Go check them out. On this episode, we have Tim Reagan, an avid angler and drone pilot. Tim goes by South Fork Salt on Instagram. You might have seen some of his amazing drone footage of whales, sharks, tuna, and more. Let's see what he has to say.
Awesome cinematography, good music, and really good fishing too, and awesome nature scenery. So there was one time I was watching one of his videos, and there's this one scene where a seal is swimming close to the beach, and there's got to be 50, 100 stripers hanging out right in close to the beach, and as they see this seal coming, they all swim out of its way and go to the seal's tail and start following it along the beach so that, I guess they won't get eaten, He'll have to do a hard turn, and if they see him turn, they're just going to run away. So I guess it's a good defense mechanism, but that kind of went against everything that I thought. As a surfcaster, you think a seal shows up, the bite's dead, the fish have just dipped out. But
yeah, they just disperse, they're gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's what I always thought, and a lot of people always thought. And then this guy Peter, he got a sick shot of that. And my girlfriend at the time, she's my wife now, she was sitting next to me, and I was like, "Yo, check out this drone shot." And she was on the phone with her brother, and he worked at Apple and had a sweet hookup for a DJI drone. So she was like, "Oh, Tim's showing me this drone shot," and he was like, "Oh, does he want a drone?" And I thought about it for a second, and then I was like, "Yeah, I would definitely like a drone." So ever since then, I've just been flying it a ton, and it's amazing, man.
So do you have the Mavic Pro 2, or what are you flying right now?
Excuse me.
Or do you have multiple? Do you have like an Air Force?
No, I wish. Maybe someday I'll have a bunch more, but I started out with the Mavic 2 Zoom, which is it's the alternative to the Mavic 2 Pro. It's got a little bit less awesome of a camera, but it does have a zoom function. So for what I do specifically, that comes in handy. I use that all the time when I'm flying, and even when I'm actually filming. So it's it does a good job for me. But yeah, I did just buy another drone this year. It's like a cinematic drone called the Inspire 2. That's super expensive, and
is that
got
also
a good camera.
DJI, or is that something different?
Yeah, it is.
DJI is money, bro. They're great.
It is, yeah. They are great. A popular one that everyone's buying lately is the DJI. I think it's called the Air 2S. It might be the Mavic Air 2S. I think that's got a good sensor, so it takes great pictures. It performs probably almost at the level mine does, and maybe even better than mine does in some functions. But yeah, I got mine a while ago and still have it. Still flies great. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
As someone who has owned the Mavic Pro 2 times, crashed them both into water. One time
Brutal,
I was trying to drive a boat and fly the drone at the same time. That's never a good idea, guys.
Nope,
I actually ended up flying the drone directly underneath the boat, and the boat went over it, and the drone still popped up in the air, and I only had control of the left and the right movement, and I was trying to get this boat in reverse and get under it before it fizzled out, but then it fizzled out, and I just watched it land in Lake George, somewhere in there.
Brutal.
But you know what's crazy? The thing gave me its reading. I can still look on the DJI map and see where that thing
exactly
is
where
on the
it
bottom. Yeah, to this day, and that was 3 summers ago. And then I crashed another one trying to fly under a bridge, under a low bridge right on top of the water. Just trying to push the limits of how cool of content I can get, and next thing I know, I'm 2 drones gone, and now I feel like I'm banned for life. So
Yeah, that's how it goes. I know a lot of them get swallowed by breaking waves too. So
Oh, really? I bet. Never even thought
yeah,
of that.
yeah, I've had a couple close calls, but fortunately, I haven't. A couple really close calls, but fortunately, I'm still holding on to mine.
Would you ever consider getting that attachment that drops bait?
Totally, I've been trying to get that, and there's this one. It's got some cool bird name. It might be called the osprey, um, but I'm not sure about that. But it's a payload dropper, so it carries well, and it has a function that taps into your remote, so you can control it control the dropper from your remote, which is pretty amazing.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I worked with a drone photographer last year, and he had one of those, and he used it to attach a GoPro setup to it, and he would fly it over like right into the bunker schools to see what was going on in there. And I didn't ever see that footage, but I saw some other footage he got, and that's pretty freaking sweet.
So is there like a community of drone fish guys, like, for lack of a better term?
I know on Long Island, it's I don't know if it's a community because I guess it kind of is because like I follow all these guys, and I think a bunch of them probably follow me, and it's good to see what other people are seeing, especially if you're into like the fisheries aspect of it, like I am. So I'm following all the guys who are ever putting up videos of menhaden and stuff from basically the city to Montauk, and there's a couple guys on like the Cape that I follow, and Jersey's got some good drone guys too. So it's there is a bigger community at large if you are like into I don't know, like the actual business of it. Like the watching fish is just a small hobby, and there's so many different businesses that utilize drones. So like if you go to like the DJI forums, you're going to find a ton of information on every drone and photography and yada yada, you know.
Yeah, I mean, even Amazon is using drones now to deliver stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah,
the drones they're using look like military grade. They're insane.
Yeah, there's these ones that they use to fertilize fields and agriculture, and they run on GPS. So I think they basically there's a pilot there, but the drones basically fly themselves in like straight lines, just spraying pesticides along all these crops over like miles of farmland. It's wild.
I wonder if you could apply the same type of technique, just replace the seeds or whatever with like chum and create like a giant chum slick.
Chum slick?
Yeah. Man, if I had the money, I would do that, bro. Seriously, that'd be sick. Oh, you guys need a chum slick? Oh, I'm just chilling on Fort Till, then I'll fly the drone out from my beach chair and create your whatever slick, chum slick.
Yeah, man, the possibilities are endless. Crazy.
Dude, I've always said when I've been out on the water, whenever I run out of supplies, like I just can't wait till the day that there's drone delivery. So like if I run out of beer on the boat, like somebody can just fly me a 30 rack or whatever.
There you go. Thinking about the important stuff.
A keg, whatever we're into. Depends on the size of the boat and if it's just me or not.
Yeah, those drones can carry up. Some of those drones can carry up to like 500 pounds. They use them to save people like in the mountains.
Crazy, dude. Are you serious? Yeah. They've actually they've pulled people off cliffs with drones. Yeah,
DJI makes drones that will fly. You can fly into the mountains, and they have like a harness on them, and somebody can like hop into the hammock or whatever and get flown out by a drone, like an unmanned drone.
Can you imagine how nervous you would be getting into an unmanned drone?
Yeah, right.
Like at that point,
little robot hold you up.
Yeah. I'm just gonna trust technology to fly me back to the safe zone. At that point, I'd be thinking about like, can I walk out of here?
Yeah.
But I probably would have thought of that already if there was a drone on the way. But anyway.
Yeah.
What is the craziest thing you've seen while filming?
Last year was pretty crazy. Last summer. So I see some pretty cool stuff. I see tuna really close to the beach. But last year's shark situation was a total anomaly. Very out of the ordinary. It was, we had probably hundreds of spinner sharks spread out from Montauk to, I don't even know how far they went. Like I said, I follow guys up the island, over by like Great South Bay. There's this one account, Great South Bay Images. He flies over the bunker schools, and he was seeing the same sharks, those spinner sharks, which I think their northernmost migration route. It typically ends at like Jersey. Although I think you guys over by the city, you probably catch a handful of them each year. But
I've seen them in the New York Bight before.
Oh, geez.
You know, it's just like every year there's just crazier and crazier fish coming through. And I think the fact that the pandemic shut down the commercial fisheries for that amount of time, even though it wasn't a crazy amount of time, I personally think that it helped a lot of things bounce back. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it's like hard to say what effect different things have, but less boats in the water. I think it contributed to the more consistent water clarity that we were seeing last year. But also, I'm seeing very consistent water clarity this year. So I don't know for sure. A lot of the water clarity has to do with water coming in from like the deep ocean. So like east swells are going to push clear water into the beach. But so the year prior to all these sharks, we had, I think it was prior to COVID too, we had all these cow-nose rays show up, and literally thousands of them, probably way more cow-nose rays than there were spinner sharks. And that was very out of the ordinary for us on the east end also. So I think that if anything, it's probably, it could be, warming waters that these southern species are making their way up here more often, and, just pioneering their way north.
Hey, you never know what'll show up. I mean, I just had a captain on the podcast yesterday, the one we put out today, and he was just sea bass fishing, and he stuck like a 350-pound sword as he was going from wreck to wreck within sight of Jersey. Like he could see the land, like not even that far. And it's a crazy story. You gotta listen to that episode when you get a chance.
I will. I know, man. I just saw it. I'm stoked,
dude. And the amount of crazy fish, like even in Jersey last year, there was like tarpon in the surf. There was white marlin in the
marlin
surf.
Yeah,
it was insane.
It's getting real, man.
It's getting real. So who knows what you'll film this year? I mean, so far, what kind of content have you been picking up this year?
In the ocean specifically, the main thing I've been seeing is dolphins swimming by, which that's pretty regular. I'm looking for the whales. They're one of my favorite things to film. But I haven't been seeing too many. About a month ago, I was seeing them every few days, but they were like probably a mile and a half offshore. So,
and what type of whales were they?
Mainly the ones that I was seeing, I'm assuming they were humpback whales, but they were too far for me to tell, and I can't really identify like the spouts. Although whales are pretty much identifiable by the way their spouts look, like the mist coming up.
Yep.
I'm not that good though, but usually I mostly see humpback whales.
Is that something like the sharks where you're seeing more of them?
So this all started probably, let's see, I started fishing like 10 years ago, and ever since, I live on the beach out here at the place where I work. And, so I'm watching the water every single day, and I'm fishing every single day. So I'm always looking out. And when I started, there was a few years where we had good showings of bunker, and there were some solid bass on them. I was doing a lot of snag and drop back then, and getting a lot of fish from like 20 to like upper 30-pound range. And then they just kind of fell off for a few years, and I wasn't seeing any. That was all in the fall time too. So after that, we started getting sand eel runs, and I wasn't seeing so much bunker. And when I did, there was never any of those big stripers on them anymore. And then all of a sudden one year, the bunker showed up in like June or something. And ever since that year, that might have been 5 years ago at this point. Ever since then, each year has been like just better and better. Just more like more. There's just more life around. So the bunker population's growing, and I think that's attracting stuff to wherever they're hanging out, which is pretty much right on the beach all along Long Island South Shore.
So when you were filming the tuna specifically last year, how close were they coming to the beach?
So I filmed tuna on like 3 or 4 different occasions last year, and all of those times they were within 200 yards of the beach. And there was one time on my birthday where I just took the day off and just hung out at the beach, and tons of bunker schools there. And there's these intense explosions going on, and I knew that there was tuna in there, and it could have been like some big bass as well, but there were some explosions that were just totally unmistakable. So I was running up and down the beach chasing these explosions, and most of the bunker is too far out of my casting range. So I was running back and forth for like an hour and a half or something. I was like, all right, I just got to find the closest piece of bunker to the beach. And so I did, and I waited there and I waited there. And then I waited long enough, and eventually there was a giant explosion right on the edge of it. And I just ripped the cast as soon as I saw it. Perfect cast, landed literally right where the explosion just happened. It would have hit the tuna on the head if I casted it earlier. And, it had already happened though. And so I was working the popper, and nothing happened for me, but it's a total possibility to potentially catch one from the beach.
So you think that we might actually see somebody land a bluefin tuna from the surf in New York State this year? Think it's possible?
Yeah, every year I think it's possible. It's just, and you know what? It probably happens. I've heard of it happening.
Really?
Yeah, there was, every time I bring it up, like around a tackle shop, they're like, oh, well, there was this person like 10 years ago who like picked the tuna from the beach or something like that. And it's all hearsay, and you gotta kind of trust the tackle shop owners, and the ones I heard it from, I do trust. But there's also other stories I've heard. Like last year, there was it was right when I think it might have been like a couple days within that story I just told about like me casting the popper and hitting that explosion. There was one guy fishing in my area, and I'm pretty sure it was at sunrise, like first light, so before the sun was up or anything. And so he's working a popper, I believe, and he hooked into something that just took off to the ocean, just kept running. It didn't slow down, like his drag was screaming, and the thing didn't slow down at all. And eventually it popped off, but there's like no doubt in my mind that maybe it was a shark, but yeah, I think I haven't seen many sharks hit poppers actually. There's been a few of my friends have caught them on top water, but at that point in the year when there's not like when the sharks aren't super populous, I think it was just more likely that this guy hooked into a tuna.
That's so wild, and also inspiring for all the surfcasters out there.
Totally, it keeps me going out there. That's crazy.
Right, dude, imagine pulling a bluefin on top water off the surf. Like you could just die right after that. Like that. Like that's
yeah,
like,
probably. Yeah.
Like I would just lay down on the sand and be like, God, I'm good. Like
yeah, you need a team for that one, I think.
Dude, that is crazy. But it seems like you can use this drone to scope out the fish, and it's actually giving you a total tactical advantage over these animals. So if anybody's going to get a bluefin on top water, it's probably going to be somebody like you who has access to the skies like that.
Yeah, if anybody's like deliberately targeting them, I think it would be. I always got my eyes on the ocean, so whenever they're there, I have a good chance. There's a good chance that I'm going to see them, and I always got my rod close by, so I'm always trying for it, But I don't know if the VS 200 is going to stand up to it, but we'll see. If it's small enough, maybe.
Yeah, you never know, man. You never know.
Yeah,
it might start swimming at you. Like that's just one of the main things I love about this sport. You just never know.
Exactly. You never know what you're going to hook.
You got to be ready. You go like I have weird. Do you have any superstitions?
So I'm not really a superstitious person, no.
So no, like you don't give a crap about the bananas on the boat or anything like that.
No, I don't even boat fish really. So that's very foreign to me. I
Oh,
don't.
I gotta send you one of our shirts. Then the boat fish don't count.
Yeah, that's
I'll send
yeah,
that.
that's
I'll send
a
that to you.
pretty regular motto in my fishing career.
How
But
about how about the boots Barry sent you? How do you like those?
they're sick. They're extremely comfortable and they're pretty freaking fresh, man.
Aren't
Pumped
they?
to have them. Yeah, appreciate you sending that over here.
I love.
So sick.
Oh, dude, that's all Sperry, man. Yeah, man.
Good,
I'm
man.
gonna rock those all summer. But what's some of your bucket list fish? What do you I mean, and when I say bucket list, I mean like not just species, but like also the technique used to catch them.
Ooh, okay. I need to get a tarpon on the fly. That's not even a question. Um, that I'm very intrigued by permit because people say that they're extremely difficult, and I'm all about the challenge. Um, they're like a perfect fly rod fish too. So, besides peacock bass, I really want to catch. They're just watching YouTube videos, so
Yeah.
I pretty much know exactly what I want to do. So the other day, I actually got out and pretty much checked something off my bucket list. I got to go fishing with, you know who Paul Dixon is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got to go with him and my friend Steve Bichard. Steve like builds our fly rods and spinning rods. So
That name
we all
sounds
went.
familiar.
Yes, he owns Rise Fishing Company.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we went out on Paul's skiff the other day and did a bunch of poling around the flats and sight fished for stripers, and that was, man, like it's like boat fish don't count, but man, that was some of the coolest fishing that I have ever done, and I'm definitely going to be doing like hopefully a lot more of that moving forward.
Dude, there's nothing like sight fishing. I love it. It is just the greatest.
Amen.
Whether it's
Yeah.
freshwater, salt, whatever it is, I love sight fishing. I mean, to the point where if I'm out on like like a sport fishing boat and there's a tower of any type, I'm not even fishing. I sit on the tower and look for fish. Like that's all I do. And
It's a rush, man, and that's the drone is very similar for me, just spotting stuff. I get the same rush from flying my drone and like seeing something cool happen on the drone. I get, if not even better of a rush than catching fish. It's freaking exhilarating.
so you're doubling down on that adrenaline there.
Yeah. I'm an adrenaline junkie, I guess.
I think a lot of us are, man. I mean, at the end of the day, when we hook into a fish, what's pumping? Adrenaline,
Exactly.
and we're all
It's electric.
we're all chasing, getting tight. So, so let me ask you this: you're mainly a fly fisherman?
No, I guide on the east end, and whenever I guide a lot of kids, like young children, like even like 6 years old and stuff.
Cool.
And yeah, I've had 6 years old be my best anglers.
I believe it.
Awesome.
They got the best luck.
Yeah, I got a good.
They haven't committed any
on.
sins yet, so God is shining on them.
Yeah, well, they're like sponges, They're just they soak up the info, and if they're like physically and athletically capable, then they can implement it. And if they do, then they're going to catch fish. And so, yeah, dude, I don't know if I answered your question. I don't even remember what the question was, but
Wait, but so are you giving them fly lessons?
I haven't done many fly lessons. I probably taught two kids to fly cast.
Okay.
So whenever I
guess,
am guiding,
yeah, sorry.
Whenever I am guiding, I'm mostly using bait is when I'm surf casting.
Yeah.
And actually, like even in like I do a lot of fishing in this creek, and
Are you doing
use a lot of bait.
Are you doing a 24-hour soak?
No, I'm not that good.
Shout to Bob. Hasn't freaking texted me back since that episode. You just use me and lose me, Bob. I'm upset with you. I might have to contact Debbie again. I hope you're listening, Bob, because I'll take Debbie out for a night she'll never forget, bro.
Now you're gonna get it, Bobby.
No, but for real, that was the way I tracked him down. I found Debbie the Dirtbag online, and I'm not kidding. You can't make this shit up. It took me a year and a half to track him down. Fucking
Damn.
enigma. And
Hot damn.
I'm pretty sure I'm one of the only podcasters to have him on, or anybody. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I guess the reason I was asking so many questions about the fly fishing thing is because, like, I feel like the fly fishing community as a whole kind of gets a bad rep as I don't know, being elitist and snobby.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
That I feel like that might be a. I'm not like. I know some people who are huge in the fly fishing industry.
And let me just clarify. I'm not saying that I think they're elitist and snobby. This is just
but
what I've
that's
collectively gathered. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. And these people who I know who are very ingrained in the industry, they say the same exact thing. And it's stuffy is the word they use, I think. And
stuffy. I like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from because most of like the young guys, people like our age who are fly fishing and talking about it, are lamenting that characterization because they see it as like a characterization of
like a totally
like
negative stereotype.
Old timers, just old timers, basically. So,
well, I mean, this industry is still run by dinosaurs, and that's the problem. There's a massive changing of the guard underway, whether they like it or not. Time keeps moving forward, so they will eventually be extinct, and those of us that have new ideas that are ahead of our time will eventually get our chance to shine. But as of this point in time, this industry is run by dudes that think, you know what? I've been doing this one way for 50 years. Why change it? And they just go. Don't even get me started. But
that's the way of the world. Old ideas die,
and they don't.
New.
Yeah, they don't want to. They're not very receptive to new ideas because guess what? They aren't their ideas. So.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude. Back to the fishing. So yeah, the elitist, stuffy fly fishermen. Well, I'm sorry to all the cool fly fishermen out there that are trying to change this stereotype. I mean, maybe it's just a waiting game, and you just have to keep proving that you're not an elitist snob, stuffy dude, girl, whatever.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of anglers right now who are young, who are probably some of the best alive right now. Like there's these trout guys who are putting out videos, and this is coming from somebody who has like not been fishing long enough to really say that with authority. But from what I've seen, there are guys who are oh man, these guys who are these trout fishermen. I think their names. I don't want to get it wrong, but I feel like they made a movie called Modern Nymphing. I couldn't tell you their names right now, and I feel bad because the fishing that they do is just so impressive. And then also the techniques they're coming up with. So you might have seen the videos on Instagram. There's a few of them have gone viral, at least in the fly fishing world, where it's this technique of bouncing like a floating fly on the surface by in my mind, I've never done it, and I just see the technique happening. And in my mind, what's happening is they have like an anchor fly, like something heavy, like a nymph, like which would be in the spinning world, that would be like a bucktail, just like something heavy that goes and fishes on the bottom. And then they have like a dropper loop or something ahead of that's holding another fly, which, in the spinning world, that would be a teaser. And what they do is they hold their rod tip high and they bounce the teaser on the surface of the water, like it's a fly that's trying to take off of the water but keeps falling down. And the fish straight up come airborne out of the water and grab that.
Yeah, you got to send that to me. That is very cool. If I had a fly fishing company or club, I'd call us the Nymphos.
Yeah, I'd be on your pro staff, 100%.
I should before I release this podcast, I'm going to buy that .com. But I guarantee it's already taken by a pornographer. So we'll see what we can do, guys. Hang in there. I'll let you know what happens.
Yeah. So when I started out, I was one of the reasons I got the drone was, there's multiple reasons, and they all just turned into I want to fly a drone. I wanted to be like a pilot when I was a little kid. I remember when I must have been like 5 years. It's got to be like one of my first memories where I was on a plane going somewhere, and it was like really early in the morning. I think it was like sunrise, and what are they called? Flight attendant like came and woke me up and was like, "Hey, do you want to go to the cockpit and see?" And so I was like, "Yeah, okay." So I went up, and as soon as she opened the door, it was like somebody just opened the doors to heaven. Like the bright white, orange, pink is like every color, and it's burned, and that was like my first memory. It's burned in my head forever. So I always wanted to just be in the sky, and now with the drone, I am.
And now you're the Lord of the skies.
Yeah. So
look how far you've come.
Yeah, man, it's pretty crazy. But so when I started out, I was filming a lot of as a surfcaster. By me, we have a lot of gillnet boats that work the shoreline here, and I had a few occasions where I was into a sick bite, and then a gillnet boat just comes and nets literally the entire school that I was just catching out of. And the first time it happened, it was like with all these bluefish. I love bluefish. They might be my favorite fish.
To catch or to catch, right?
Yeah, to catch, but also to eat. That's
really?
Probably my favorite eating fish. Yeah,
you're the only person I've ever heard say that.
Yeah, people just do it wrong. When you catch it, you just got to bleed it right away, and then you got good meat pretty much. But you got to bleed it the right way. You can't just throw it in a bucket of water. The only time I ever had bad bluefish was when I did that. So what I do every time to get perfect bluefish meat is, as soon as I catch it, I cut open its gills and I put its head back in the water, and I just let it breathe all that blood out over like the next 2 minutes or so. And as soon as it stops, thrashing, then throw it up on the sand and gut it. And if I can fillet it immediately, then I will. But otherwise, just fillet it when I get home. Throw it on ice if I got ice. And I've never failed me, man. I love bluefish so much.
That's awesome.
So
anyway, these guys on the trawlers.
Yeah, they not the trawlers. It's not trawlers.
Gill netters.
It's a dragger. Yeah, the gill netters. So they drop their nets, and actually, what they did on this specific occasion is they encircled the school with the net, and they caught every fish in that school, and we're talking 15 to 20 pound bluefish. And so as they were trying to drag in the net, I don't know if they're like, their motor on their reel burned out or what, but they were bringing in like 3 fish, like it's like every, like stacked on top of each other for probably like 150-yard long net. So there were probably like 1,000 trophy bluefish in there, and they didn't keep any of them. They just threw them overboard. And then for the next like month or so, we just had dead trophy bluefish carcasses decaying on the beach for like 15 miles of beach. I was like, I need a camera to document this, because this is the worst thing that I've ever seen, and it's also ruining my fishing. So I ended up getting
this is why we need the heavier drone. I'll start the GoFundMe. We'll get the heavier drone, and we'll get a brick of TNT. And no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Fishing's a little bit too addicting.
No, I will never not be addicted to fishing. I actually live by some golf courses, and tonight's a full moon, and I'm going to I've caught a few 4 or 5 pound bass over there at night.
I thought you were going to say you're going to pick up golf.
Oh, no. I'm going over there to fish the ponds tonight.
There you go.
It's
There you go.
That's nice full
like
moon. I'm going to throw those Senkos nice and slow.
Nice, man.
And bang them,
yeah,
dude.
Should be good stuff going on here, too.
I went out last night, and I got checked by Life and just got reminded of, like, how old I am. And I, like, tried to hop a fence, and I literally just missed destroying my nuts. and it slammed my thigh, and I landed like face sideways on the dirt at like 3 a.m. with like a light drizzle going on. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, those two 2 to 3 pound lorries I caught were so worth it.
We're not kids anymore, Victor.
No, I know, but dude, the crazy addiction continues. You just,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's like
yeah,
I
do some
always say, bro, catch fish or die trying. Like,
I hear you. I'm definitely doing some stuff that an adult shouldn't be doing, just to catch fish.
you're like a fish boyer. So,
yeah.
So,
I need it.
I need to see it. So let me ask you this: if someone is thinking about getting a drone, what would be a good one to start with?
That one that I just mentioned, that's a very good value drone. I think that's the one that people who there are. That one's probably like, I couldn't tell you the real price, but I think that it's probably like around like $1,000. And then there are others that are like, there's one called the Mavic Mini, and I think that's probably more like $300.
Does that have the zoom option? Because I was kind of shocked to hear that the one below the Mavic 2 didn't, or had the zoom option. The Mavic Pro 2 didn't have the zoom option.
Yeah, and
it's kind of weird because the zoom option is money.
It is, but also like photographers, like my boss, he used to be a professional photographer, and I had this one sick shot of a whale coming out, and I thought it was like the best shot I ever got because I zoomed into the bunker school, which is like right on the beach, as this whale started to explode through it, and I kept continuing the zoom, and it stopped as like the whale was at its peak pretty much, and I was like, this is amazing. So I showed it to him, and he was like, dude, are you kidding me? And I'm like, what? And he's like, why did you zoom? He's like, you had it perfect. And I'm like, oh, I thought that was like a cool effect. And he's like, no, never, ever, ever. So I think a lot of professional photographers, like, especially when it comes to drones, you can do zoom type stuff in like post editing. Like after you get the video, then there's like all these effects you can implement. And one of them is, you just make the zoom afterwards, and that's not going to like affect the quality much. So totally viable. But there's this new one, the Mavic 3, and that does have a zoom function, but I think it's like, and I'm not too fluent in photography, but one of them's a digital zoom and one of them's an optical zoom. And I don't know which one's worse, but like my zoom lens, the lens is like actually the zoomer, versus in the Mavic 3, the zoom happens in the software. So if you take a picture with that, the quality is going to be degraded compared to my lens zooming in.
What advice would you give to an up and coming visual creator, say young kid, whatever? What advice would you give them? Or what advice would you give your past self? Let's frame it like that. Let's say you could go back to the beginning of when you like first started figuring this whole thing out. Is there anything you would go back and be like, yo, dude, do this instead of this?
Yeah, I would say don't spot burn. One spot that I fish and yeah, dude, exactly. That's like, as soon as I posted this video, that was the noise that should have went off. But yeah, I have this dope spot, and I put videos up of it, and somebody actually commented like almost right away, and they were like, yo, why would you do this? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you just like burned your own spot. And I'm like, well, nobody fishes
so
here.
Advanced, man. I'm so advanced, man.
Is that what you told him when he said that to you?
I don't have like any regrets in life, and that's the closest thing I'd have to a regret.
Yo, we should do a part 2. I mean, let's give it like the summer, and you do your thing and get crazy content, and then we'll circle back around like end of August, beginning of September, and we'll talk about everything you saw this summer.
Sounds great to me, bro.
Awesome, dude. All right, Tim, thank you so much for calling in tonight. This was one of my favorite interviews ever. And
hey, thanks for having me, man. This is This is an honor, man. I'm stoked. You got
Just
legends on here, bro.
Only
Like,
the legends, bro.
Crazy,
That's why
crazy.
we're the best fishing podcast in the Northeast.